in some ways, and maybe I don't know, man. Maybe we're giving ourselves too much credit. Maybe we're giving Gamecock Central too much credit. But it used to be the newspaper is like the official record on whether something has happened or not happened. And you just hope that 99.999% of the time that it's accurate. So when it comes to recruiting, like Rivals initially, and now 24/7 on 3, it's the official record for this stuff. So there's some pressure in that, Chris. But I'm gonna say I feel like we would have known about it because it's not like this stuff was really being tracked 60 years ago. When did Rivals start?
Which iteration? Now we're going to get into a history lesson. But the first batch of Rivals rankings that are still on the internet, 2002.
Okay, so 2002. Yeah, it's never happened. We'll just
say it.
No, I feel like that would have been I followed this stuff even before I was working in it.
Yeah.
Especially I can say with almost certainty that if you're looking at what the guys were ranked when they committed, that 5 straight 4 stars to start a class. Although, do we have to even include the asterisk that there was a commitment in between all this that is now a decommitment? Carson Hobbs, who's at Notre Dame or committed to Notre Dame.
Yeah, we take that out.
So we take that out. But I believe Carson is now a 4-star as well. I think he was a 3-star when he committed.
Yes, but as complicated as possible.
Yeah, but as far as the guys who are in the class, 5 4-stars.
This is their first 5
for if all it happens
and purposes. If it happens, but look at the 2007 class is still, I believe, Wes, the highest ranked class. Well, I'll have to go look at the On3 consensus as well. But the 2007 South Carolina class was at that time 6th in the country and 4th in the SEC, which is amazing. But the first 5 commitments, and I do think these dates are pretty accurate on here. I think these are right. Quentin Richardson, 4-star. Addison Williams, 3-star. Brian Maddox, 4. Michael Bowman, 3. Travian Robertson, 4. So that was a great class, and 3 of those first 5 were 4-star guys, but not all 5. And that's the highest, that's the best comparison that we have in terms of actual, star rating. I mean, that class finished. It had some really, Chris Culver's in that class. He was ranked as a 5-star guy by one service, at least. You look at the 2009 class that had, Stephon Gilmore. First 5 commitments in that class chronologically, there was 1 4-star. It was Matt Coffey.
I remember Matt Coffey.
Blast from the past. 2011. I'm just pulling a few random, samples here at this point, and then I'll stop. But the first 5 in the 2011 class, of course, Jadeveon Clowney was the last commitment because he went to Valentine's Day. But the first 5 in that class, 1 4-star. So this is, you kind of look at the data and just the perception. This is unprecedented. Right now, you're in a spot where, if you're South Carolina, your last several commitments, out of the last several, you've got Nicholas Harbor, and you've kind of sandwiched in some form or fashion 5 2024 prospects if you get Maceo Bennett. And there've been some transfers in between some of those. There've been some 2023 acquisitions. But some of your latest commitments, you're racking up a higher caliber on paper in the recruiting rankings.
Yeah, I like the blue chip ratio, man. And for those who don't know, it's like what percentage of your guys are considered blue chip prospects. So it would be 4-stars or 5-star guys. And generally, and there's actually kind of a formula to this where the teams that win the national title have almost all had a blue chip ratio over a certain percentage. And, I think if you're South Carolina, you're aiming to at least be at 50%. If you get to that 50% number, then in theory you're adding talent, you're getting better, you're putting yourself in a position to compete. And just by the definition of it, South Carolina is at 100% right now, 100% blue chip ratio. That will not continue for the entire class. Chris is putting his hands up.
Are you sure?
Yes, that will not continue. Well, there'll be an under the radar guy or two. But man, even so, I think you look at this 2023 class, Chris, and it right now on 3 consensus wise sits at 50% blue chip ratio. That should not change. The rankings, as far as I know, are pretty locked in at this point. I think, Chris, that goes for all of the different recruiting media outlets. As far as we know, other than maybe a transfer guy or here or there, the class is pretty much finished. So right now, you can kind of lock this in: 16th in the country, 7th in the SEC, blue chip ratio at 50%. And they did, by the way, finally get Elijah Davis's ranking fixed on 3 as well. He is now the 3rd highest ranked prospect in the class for South Carolina too, as a high 4-star in the on 3 consensus. But I think you look at the totality of this class, man, and I think the combination of adding your Nick Harbor types on top of it, national level prospect, plus adding a couple of guys like Vakari Swain and Lenora Sellers who had major jumps in the rankings at the end. This itself, before we even get into what 2024 is going to be, is, I would say, one of the better South Carolina classes we have seen in some time. And I kind of like the depth of this class as well. I mean, you start looking down here at the bottom of the class, you have some guys. I mean, Cameron Sandlin, he's one of the lowest ranked guys in this class and is a heck of a football player. South Carolina is very high on Tyshawn Russell, the late add at receiver. In-state, Elijah Caldwell is sort of at the bottom middle part of this class. Really, really good football players. So I like what they have throughout this recruiting class.
It's a great point on the back half, the kind of, so to speak, bottom half of the class. And so look at like South Carolina's 2020 class. That was Will Muschamp's last full class. It's a pretty good one, Wes. 19th in the team consensus rankings, according to On3. It included Jordan Birch, who is what is called a 5-star plus, meaning that he was ranked by all 4 services. He was a consensus 5-star. Every single service thought he was a 5-star. It had Marshawn Lloyd, Luke Doty, Boogie Huntley, Mo Kaba, Tonka Hemingway, Jaheim Bell, who was also 4-star. But it was 19th in the country, 45% blue chip ratio. And that was even including a 5-star player, right? So this is a class that has a 5-star in it. But like you said, that back half of the class, even some of the 4-stars are a little bit higher caliber than some of the guys in those class. And then the back half is arguably a little bit stronger too. So very, very interesting. A couple other points here, just kind of comparison points of some SEC teams. Georgia's 2022 class was a 70% blue chip ratio. Their 2023 class, which ranks 2nd in the country, so this cycle that is just finishing up, 85%. Alabama has the number 1 recruiting class according to the On3 team consensus recruiting rankings, 93% blue chip ratio. 2 transfers in that class. One of them, CJ Dupree, who from Maryland, who a bunch of schools, including South Carolina, were recruiting. So yeah, I mean, I do think it illustrates. I mean, you said it earlier. This is one of the better classes in recent memory, the 2023 class. And then 2024 is just on paper on track to have an opportunity to better that even.
Yeah, guys, and Shane Beamer is actually going to be on with Jay on the halftime show in a little over an hour at 12:30. Certainly going to be able to discuss the 2023 class with him. Going to run into a timeout. Come back on the other side. Continue on with the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs right here on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game on demand podcast menu. Sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. If you're dealing with injuries or pain, our team is here to get you better sooner. On the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute. The Houston Texans fell backwards into a pot of gold. Who knows how it happened, but it did. D'Amico Ryans is the top assistant coaching candidate out there. And because he played in Houston, considers the Texans job his dream job. The dumpster fire in Houston lucked their way into the best fireman in the country. This is Damon Amendolara. CBS Sports Radio.
It's O Rewards Bonus Points Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Shop in-store or online to earn points and get rewarded at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Are you ready?
Every pro is an MVP to us. As a Lowe's MVP's Rewards member, you can earn bonus points when you shop select products and brands. Then redeem them for exciting rewards like tools, sports memorabilia, e-gift cards, and more. Join today to become a member and start earning. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any, subject to program terms while supplies last. Points expire at end of calendar year. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points for details.
Do you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes? Good news. There's a new way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. Call U.S. Tax Shield, A+ rated with the BBB, 800-391-5063 for your free consultation and let U.S. Tax Shield protect you from the IRS.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin. John, what are you doing? Get in my car. Why are you walking to work?
Thanks, man. It's these insanely high gas prices. They are draining my bank account. I can't afford to drive anymore.
Dude, don't walk. Just do what I do because I never pay full price for gas anymore. I use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, you're telling me you get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WINNING for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's promo code WINNING. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WINNING for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code WINNING.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-767-6464. 800-767-6464. That's 800-767-6464.
Tens of thousands affected by the toxic water at Camp Lejeune are left with death, cancer, Parkinson's, dementia, birth defects, and other serious illnesses. And along with the harm, so many worries.
My family drank the Camp Lejeune water. What if our health gets worse and we need more financial help?
How do I protect my VA benefits and get the compensation I deserve and need?
The answer is simple. Call James Harris Law, the experienced, trusted law firm that can get you significant compensation while protecting all your VA benefits. We're already fighting for hundreds of Marines, families, and civilians who drank Camp Lejeune water. But if you miss the deadline, you could forever lose your right to the justice you deserve. So call our Camp Lejeune legal helpline now. Now may be your last chance to receive full compensation. Don't delay. Call 800-234-3388. That's 800-234-3388. 800-234-3388.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game.
Discover Herndon Certified, Herndon Chevrolet's premier used car warranty. Shop with complete confidence knowing Herndon Chevrolet has got you covered.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour
With Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head.
on your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Back in on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head, Wes, and Chris along with you, and continuing on our conversation about recruiting going forward. And Colin Taylor and I were talking about this in the 9 o'clock hour, with these guys that will be committing down the line. The RPM machine, as we often like to talk about, has quite a few significant names that are looking pretty good for South Carolina right now.
Yeah, the Gamecocks a favorite already on several guys in the 2024 class. And the RPM is cool. I still like the old school information gathering for my recruiting information, to be honest. But I think the RPM is good for combining all that information into one easy to read graphic, I guess, in order to allow fans to track it a little bit better. But Chris, South Carolina, the overwhelming favorite for Maceo Bennett going into his noon announcement. We're about 39 minutes away from that. But let's talk about Maceo for a player, or as a player, I should say, and listed as an athlete. That's one I think we being on 3, we need to get updated. I mean, some guys are true athletes in that they could play a number of positions at the next level. Maceo lists as an athlete because he excels, playing DB as well. But I mean, I don't know if I've heard of anybody who's really been targeting, him as a DB. It's been wide receiver all the way for South Carolina and Justin Stepp and that crew. Seems like the other schools have wanted him at receiver as well. Not that he couldn't play DB, but this is a guy who works with a wide receiver trainer in the upstate. He's really been on the recruiting radar for like 2+ years now as hey, this is a guy to keep an eye on. This kid's going to be really good. And it is a fairly, everybody can get better, but he is a fairly developed wide receiver, I think, in terms of wide receiver skill set, route running, just catching a bunch of passes all the time, as opposed to being an athlete playing wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, I remember it had to have been, Wes, must have been right after camps reopened, after the COVID recruiting shutdown. And I remember seeing Bennett in camp that year. And, he was clearly a guy that we were watching. I don't think South Carolina, had they even offered at that point? I think they were just watching him pretty closely at that point. Saw him as a youngster. You could kind of see the upside. I think we saw him in camp again last summer. So, yeah, he has certainly taken off as a prospect. Long-time priority. South Carolina hit the hiccup here with Tennessee, the job they started doing recruiting, the offense, right? The high-flying offense, South Carolina stalling out at many points offensively. I think all those things hurt, although the relationship part of it never went away for Bennett. I feel like that's a theme we've been talking about a lot, like relationships. Nicholas Harbor, Shane Beamer, his staff, they've done a great job on that front, especially in the 2023 and the 2024 classes when they've had a long time to build them. But it kind of has come back around to that. He had the short-lived commitment to Tennessee. Doesn't seem they've really been in it as much. I know he mentioned kind of the coaching changes at Tennessee at the time last year, but I think the reality of it was that the door was cracked open and South Carolina hanging 63 on Tennessee inside Williams-Brice was an eye-opener that just completely opened that door once again for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, I think the relationships here have always pointed to South Carolina. I think that with him though, maybe he just felt some pressure that if I'm going to play in an offense that's going to give me a chance to showcase my skills, I've got to go to Tennessee. And at the time, the perception was, look, South Carolina's struggling on offense. They're struggling to get things going. And, if you're a wide receiver, you're looking at what Tennessee's doing and you're like, wow, this is a fit for me. You're sitting there, you're looking at what Hyatt is doing over there as well. And you're saying, it's a Palmetto State kid, left the state, showing out at Tennessee. And then, so Tennessee's offensive coordinator leaves after that. South Carolina smashes Tennessee. South Carolina changes things up on offense as well. And I think it all came back to the fact that he is a good bit more comfortable, it seems like, at South Carolina. And, I think with Bennett, you look, and this is a guy that is among those top 3 prospects in the state of South Carolina. You can debate the order that they should go in, but the consensus seems to be that in some order you're talking about Cam Pringle, Josiah Thompson, and Maceo Bennett. And obviously comparing a quote athlete, really comparing a wide receiver to 2 offensive linemen is an apples to oranges comparison. Really hard, I think, to kind of compare the two as far as who's the better prospect, who's the better player when they do completely different things. However, I think that 1 to 3 spot, they're kind of in a group, and then I think there's a little bit of a separation between the 3. Maybe a 4th guy steps up into there, but right now I think you're talking about getting one of the consensus top 3 prospects in the state of South Carolina for 2024, and I think you're talking about then putting yourself in a position to have landed all 3, because Josiah, despite not deciding yet, despite other schools still pushing, and despite him still taking visits, I would be pretty surprised if he does not end up at South Carolina as well. So you're talking about getting the second of 3 and putting yourself in position to land all 3.
Yeah, putting yourself in a really good position to land all 3. Wes, I'm about to put you on the spot here in just a second with a question. But speaking of putting yourself in position, as a business owner, you need to position yourself well on the insurance front. So if you are a small business owner in the Midlands, you got to think about everything you need to help your business succeed. In addition to, things like a plan and happy customers, steady cash flow, you also need great business insurance and an insurance agent that gets you. State Farm agent Amy Mason Cup runs a small business here in the Midlands too. And so she understands your needs as a local business owner. She's going to make it easy to choose the right protection for your business at the right price, because one thing you don't need is insurance stress. You can call State Farm agent Amy Mason Cup for your small business needs today, 803-772-5554. She has helped my family, experienced team, knowledgeable team, very helpful team, and she and State Farm will have you covered. Local agent, South Carolina native, they can give you a personalized quote to meet your needs on business insurance and help you save. Her office is at 612 St. Andrews Road, Suite 4 in Columbia, just off I-26. Again, State Farm agent Amy Mason Cup, 803-772-5554. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Wes, last time South Carolina signed, I'm going by the consensus, the top 3 prospects in the state of South Carolina. Can you guess the year? And even who they are. That'd be extra bonus points for you if you can do that. If you can just give me the year, I will award you the prize.
So it's happened?
It has happened. That was my question. I was like, has this happened? It has.
I'm not good at knowing what the classes are. I mean, obviously, I don't want to say obviously. I don't know. Can you give me a hint?
Okay, I'll give you a hint. Shy Smith.
Oh, wow. Really?
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been, we're in 2023 right now.
We are.
I don't know. Tell the people. My brain is
2017.
2017. That would have been Shy, Ortre, and who else?
Brad Johnson, number 3 in the consensus. Was a consensus 4-star. That was the last one. I didn't go beyond that. But in every other class since then, Wes, South Carolina Sometimes they've signed 2 of the top 3. There have been some instances of that. Sometimes they've been over. Like 2018, Darion Kendrick and Josh Belk signed with Clemson in the middle there. Channing Tindall. Oh, that one still hurts. Gamecock fans.
That was a
Channing Tindall,
miss.
number 2 in the consensus. The next year they signed Zach Pickens and Cam Smith, and it wasn't a super. Those are 2 really good ones. Those guys are about to hear their names called, but beyond that, it wasn't a great class. Jacoby Pinckney was actually the number 3 prospect. And, there's a little bit of like, you're kind of cheating saying that because like Jacoby Pinckney, Shamar McCollum, Greg Williams, Davis Bevel, those next guys like South Carolina didn't push for, But the point is here in the 2023 class, you've got 3 guys that they've offered and pursued very heavily and are well poised to land.
Yeah, it's I think you can even go past that, man, and hit the next sort of, at least as far as the rankings go, the next level of guys in this state as well. I think Carolina has positioned themselves in a good spot. You look at Kelvin Hunter from down the road at West Florence, and I always want to say Kelvin Rainey, which is a blast from the past for Gamecock fans.
A good pull.
Yulee.
That's right. Derrick Henry territory.
Yulee High School,
Yep.
Kelvin Rainey. That was a personal miss in terms of me thinking he was going to be a dude, thinking he was going to be a stud, and just never really worked out at South Carolina. But you look at Kelvin Hunter, you look at Blake Franks. Am I leaving anybody out that they have offered in state for 2024?
No, there could be some others that come up eventually.
They'll pop up.
Troy Stevenson from down in the Low Country, Bray Staley. That's one from Aiken that has actually picked up Clemson and a lot of other traction lately. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up being a guy. So there'll be some others.
Trey Dunbar.
Yep.
At running back. There's another kid that started to pick up. There's a defensive lineman that started to pick up.
The kid from Riverside.
Yes.
He got the Georgia offer. Yeah, his name's escaping me. Big kid. He's another one.
Yeah. So it's it always happens like this though. These are the names early on. These are the guys that have hit the radar pretty quickly. I think it's just it's a certainty that guys will pop in during the camp season and will blow up and get an offer. You would think it happens every single time. So we'll keep talking about Maceo, and we'll hit some other things on the other side.
Yeah, as we run into this break, going to give you a chance to win a pair of tickets to tomorrow's men's basketball game as they take on Arkansas at 3:30 at Colonial Life Arena. Be caller number 5 at 803-404-6100 for your chance to win that pair of tickets. Going to come back on the other side as we continue to count down to the Maceo Bennett commitment. Coming up at 12 o'clock, you're listening to the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs.
Gamecocks QB Spencer Rattler, live in studio on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Chris, Wes, and Tyler.
Tuesday from 11 to noon on your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
Tired of paying over MSRP for new vehicles? Then come to Herndon Chevrolet and smile with a great selection of new Chevrolets on the ground at invoice pricing. We have new Chevrolets starting at only $23,998. Visit your hometown Chevy dealer today or find new roads online at HerndonChevy.com.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile. Smile.
Call 864-262-6760 for complete details.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code READY for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code READY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code READY for 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out.
My drinking had become a problem. Too many nights waking up at 3 a.m., sweating, head pounding, self-loathing, and anxiety hitting me hard. Thinking, how did I do this again? What's wrong with me? Why can't I stop?
If you're finally ready to stop drinking completely or just want to drink less, naltrexone could help you. Naltrexone is an FDA-approved medication that reduces cravings and pleasure from drinking, making it easier to drink less or quit alcohol altogether. And you can see improvement almost immediately. Whether your challenges with alcohol are mild, moderate, or severe, Or Health makes it simple to get started with treatment. Just text BEST to 323232 to get a secure link to our private online assessment. One of our licensed medical professionals will evaluate your assessment, and if medication is right for you, prescribe it directly online. We'll deliver your prescription right to your front door. No doctor's office visits required. You really can stop drinking or just drink less. Text BEST to 323232 to get started today. Text the word BEST to 323232. Text BEST to 323232.
Jay Phillips here for my good friends at Dan's Fan City in Harbison. Ceiling fans don't sound like something you think about a lot because you don't really need to, but when you've got them, they work well, keeping energy costs down and your comfort level up. John at Dan's Fan City wants to remind you to make your ceiling fan move in reverse this time of year to keep the heat off the ceiling. See John for any questions and for all of your ceiling fan needs. Go to Dan's Fan City in Harbison or call them at 781-FANS. You'll be glad you did.
After being almost $500,000 in tax debt, I was listening to the radio one day and heard a ad for John Ecton Law Firm. So I gave him a call and met with him, and he gave me the confidence to trust him after the reason behind my tax problems anyways was trusting someone I probably should have never trusted. He did everything he said he was going to do, and then some. His staff at the office were great, very knowledgeable. With John's help, I have no tax debt now, and I was able to have a family that otherwise I would have never been able to have.
It's great to know we have changed people's lives for the better. Hi, this is local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm. For over a decade, our office has been dedicated to helping hardworking individuals and businesses solve tax problems for good. So if you have years of unfiled tax returns or are facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call our office today at 771-9800 or go to EctonLawFirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com. Let's get your tax problem solved for good. Call today. You'll be glad you did.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
Don't touch my Phoenix sweater. 1 and 2 and a 1, 2, 3.
Back in on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, Wes, and Chris along with you. It's 11:37 right now. Maceo Bennett's announcement coming up at noon. Chris, I think that's just enough time to get down to your local firehouse, grab a sub, pull up Gamecock Central on your phone, and check out that commitment.
Yeah, I do. Now, there will not be Wes's world-class live streaming skills will not be on display today. We're expecting just a social media announcement, Wes. Is that right?
That's what I believe. Now, actually, if y'all want, I will just video Chris reading the tweet if y'all want me to.
Please
Chris,
do that.
Chris, you can just be reading what's on Twitter and then be like, guys, we're waiting on the tweet to come through.
Okay.
I'm sure Kendall Smith will want us to do that for the vlog.
Better yet, you can just pretend you're him, get some hats on the table, and say, pretend I was Maceo Bennett and I'm picking South Carolina.
I think people would immediately turn that stream off. I do not want to see Chris. But now what we could do, it might make it more interesting if I'm reading Gamecock Central while I'm eating my Firehouse sub. And it would be a sub of the day. It's $5.99 for a smaller, $7.99 for a medium. And today's sub of the day is one that maybe you haven't given a try yet, and you should. It is the Jamaican jerk turkey. It is outstanding. I've had it. Go check it out. Any of the 14 Midlands Firehouse Subs locations. There's one right down the street from here at the studio. Main Street. You can go to Casey, drive through, or you can order with the Rapid Rescue, FirehouseSubs.com, or download the app. Make sure while you're at it, you join their awesome rewards program. You can even earn yourself some free Firehouse Subs with the more you buy. Again, that is the Firehouse Subs sub of the day, Jamaican jerk turkey, FirehouseSubs.com to order it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to telling the people some more behind the scenes of us covering Montague Rames. Excuse me, covering our boy Harbor.
Yeah, we're working on something with that.
Yeah, I'm really excited for people to hear about that because there was some ups and downs in the life of a recruiting reporter that day, just because I was there and had driven 7 hours plus, and Chris delivered a phone call to me on Wednesday morning that was tough. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, Kendall, for about a few hours there, every other text was vlog, as in, I'm going to keep telling you to do this because I know you're probably not going to do it. So I'm going to make you do it. Even though Kendall does not tell us what to do, but she does.
So you have vlog footage that you're going to contribute?
Well, clearly you haven't been on Gamecock Central and watched the vlog from signing day. You would have thought that I was in there.
That's on my list.
Are you telling me Kendall's like the mom of y'all's group?
Mm-hmm.
Just stay on y'all those kind of things?
No. Just with this.
No, I have not. So we have so much content. This is not it's not a bat pad. It's our team at Gamecock Central. We have so much content, and we're still working on producing Harbor-related content that I have not caught up on all the things yet. I admit I haven't. I'm trying.
Yeah, you need to get there, man.
I'm close.
I did 2 entries. I did one before I walked into the school, and I did one after.
Just 2. That's it.
Yeah, I'm like, what else is there? I'm covering it. I'm not going to sit there and video my face as it's happening. But
yeah, God, Kendall's probably listening, and now I'm in trouble.
Yes,
I don't mind if you're mad at me for not watching your 10 seconds of you walking into the school or whatever.
It was a minute on each side there, Chris. But you wouldn't know that because you haven't watched, man. Anyway, so yeah, it's just gonna. Our point was there's just gonna be a tweet, we believe.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be a good tweet for Gamecock fans when they get that information. But I think worth mentioning here, Chris, this will be one of the more highly recruited, highly ranked wide receivers that they will have landed from the high school ranks during the Beamer era. And, a guy that, as we said earlier, I was going back. So South Carolina offered him, that would have been 2021. And it was actually the weekend, I think, of the Troy football game. Maceo and his family were in town. Carolina was already recruiting him, but they had not offered yet. They delivered the news at the time. First Power 5 offer for him, which I think meant a lot from the beginning. The relationship with Justin Stepp has been there for a long time here. And, I think Coastal was the first actual offer. South Carolina first Power 5. And that's really carried over. I think like when Bennett does talk about his decision, if it does end up being South Carolina, you got to believe the level of attention. Carolina, even after he committed to Tennessee, still went by the high school when they were doing their evaluation trips during the fall. Still were going by, still were checking in. I'm sure they maybe eased up a little bit just to respect the decision, but they stayed the course here. And, it appears that they're going to be rewarded for that here in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, and again, broken record alert. The whole relationships things. A lot of times, almost every time, Wes, I would dare say that when you've got a big time prospect, and by that I mean, generally that's going to be a guy that's highly ranked, highly sought after. Maceo Bennett fits that bill. He's a highly ranked guy, top 200 player. I think in the consensus, if not higher. And a really nice offer list, taking a bunch of visits, et cetera, communicated with a lot of coaches. When you get a guy like that, it's kind of rare that you're just going to, boom, get him to commit, without any sort of fight. And that can even mean another school overtakes your lead for a little while. We saw that with Nicholas Harbor. Like South Carolina was there from the very start. Oregon comes in kind of at the end, makes a big impression. You got to hold them off. Maceo Bennett, if South Carolina does land him in about 15 minutes, you saw with him, Tennessee comes in and not only muddies the waters, but they literally get him on the commitment list for a while. So these things happen even for schools that, have a great shot with the kid and have built a great relationship. But if you can build kind of that relationship, have that to stand on, have that foundation, generally you're going to have a shot at the end to pull it off. And that's what they've done here.
Yeah. And sometimes you got to keep just chipping away. If you're down, or if, again, in this case, Tennessee landed him, but they kept chipping away, and then it appears that it will pay off. And, Greenville High, a place that has put out talent. They've had some really good football teams up there the last few years. And Blake Frank's another where South Carolina, a little bit different in how it played out. I think Bennett, when South Carolina offered, I kind of had it in my head that it was early, but Carolina was going to have a really good shot to land this kid. And then it took its normal, recruiting, it's a roller coaster. It takes its different paths. But, I think with him, you always knew there was going to be a shot. With Blake Franks, there was still an unknown there. And it was kind of like, all right, he seems intrigued by South Carolina, but this thing hasn't really started to play out yet. And so I think with Franks, then the word was, hey, it's not just it's probably going to be Clemson or Clemson leads. At one point, it was like, this is going to be Clemson.
Yeah.
Like, we were fully anticipating a Clemson commitment. However, that has sort of wavered a bit, and then it gets to a point where, wow, it's South Carolina or Clemson. Oh, it's 50-50. Maybe it's back and forth, to now there being I would say, a pretty solid level of confidence that if he is to announce this month, which has been the plan, but also it's been a little bit up in the air, like that could change. But if it is this month, I think South Carolina probably feels good there as well. So you're talking about going into the upstate and getting a couple of Greenville highly recruited guys. That's never a bad thing at that school. It's never a bad thing to go into Clemson's backyard and land a couple of guys. And it just goes to show you, man, they've done a phenomenal job in state for this class.
Yeah, they have, with Frank specifically, it would be, and we don't know yet, Wes. I mean, we are in February, and we'll see if he kind of sticks to that planned timeline. But to go back to what you said on his, potential decision, Clemson, huge lead, and really heard before his last South Carolina visit. I think this is kind of just a box checker, like a just make sure. Well, to South Carolina's credit, they muddied it up and made it a tough decision, and then the process kept going to where now I'm not super confident one way or another, but as you said, there is some confidence that South Carolina could potentially land this guy.
All right, come back on the other side, wrap up this week of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs as we count down to the Bennett commitment coming up at 12 o'clock. You're listening to 107.5 The Game.
Have you missed any of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour? You can catch up at 1075thegame.com or by downloading our 1075 The Game app on iTunes or Google Play. 1075 The Game on-demand podcast menu. Sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. If you're dealing with injuries or pain, our team is here to get you better sooner.
Since 2010, the Hood team at Coldwell Banker Realty has been endorsed by financial expert Dave Ramsey as one of his trusted partners in the Midlands of South Carolina. Where real estate is concerned, if Dave Ramsey puts his trust in the Hood team and has for the past 13 years, you should too.
I'm Danny Hood.
And I'm Karen Hood.
And I'm William DiMaggio. We're the Hood team at Coldwell Banker Realty.
Give us a call.
At 803-730-2512.
Or online at thehoodteam.com.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now, but I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WIN for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WIN for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code WIN.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Josh, quote, "After walking around my whole life being a mouth breather, I was excited to try Navage. I read the directions carefully, pressed the button, and oh my gosh, what a sensation. So much mucus, so much crud, but oh sweet, merciful air, I can finally breathe you through my nose. Never have I ever taken such an amazing breath in my life. This is a life changer," unquote. He's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, Navage, clean nose, healthy life.
If you're thinking about retiring soon, be sure to tune in to Save Your Retirement with Pat Struby of Preservation Specialists. Join Pat as he talks about the latest trends and headlines that could impact your retirement. Don't go into retirement unprepared. Listen each Sunday morning at 10 to Save Your Retirement with Pat Struby of Preservation Specialists. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through Kalos Capital Incorporated.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. A great selection of new Chevys is available now at Herndon Chevrolet. The lot is packed with inventory and more is on the way. So shop your hometown Chevy dealer today. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
Back on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Wrapping up what's been a really, really good week for Gamecocks football, and obviously hoping to get a little bit better here in a few minutes with the Maceo Bennett announcement coming at 12 o'clock, and you guys seem pretty confident that he is going to choose the Gamecocks. Guys, what are your thoughts overall about the week we've had?
Oh, man, it's been a crazy week, huh? And you can actually, I'll tell you what you got to do is let us finish the show here, then read about Maceo Bennett if he commits to South Carolina a little bit after noon. And then at 12:20, none other than head coach Shane Beamer will be on with Jay again, 12:20. So you have time, actually. Sorry, Jay, we're going to steal your audience for 20 minutes. They can go read about and watch us talk about Maceo if it's South Carolina. And then come back and listen to what Shane Beamer has to say at 12:20. I'm sure that will be entertaining. He will not be able to talk about Maceo.
Yes.
But he'll be able to talk about Nick Harbor.
Yep.
He already
Elijah
did
Caldwell.
on Wednesday, but several other guys. He can talk about anything Jay wants to ask him about or anything he wants to talk about. Is there anything we did not learn from Shane Beamer on Wednesday that you think Jay should ask him? I'm really going to put you on the spot here.
Well, and I was going to say real quick, I think Beamer will probably try to creatively loop in, if they indeed land Maceo Bennett, like some type of reference. He'll have to be careful with that because he can't say the name Maceo Bennett, but they can do some other things. Carolina's staff got real, like you saw Jody Wright, the tight ends coach, who was very involved in his recruitment. He's like tweeting out pictures of the National Harbor and things like that, and all these DC landmarks. Getting pretty creative with it. Man, I don't know. Between Curtis Fry and Beamer got super specific at the press conference with Nicholas Harbor the other day. talking about exactly when he got the text from Nicholas Harbor that sounded bad and ran down, it was probably the mid-morning. I talked to him again, and then in the noon hour, about an hour, 45 minutes before the announcement, I talked to him again. He got very specific with that stuff.
So, what was that the 45 minutes or so before? Is that when?
Yeah,
he sort of said,
and he said,
"I'm coming to South Carolina," or did he tell him?
See, that's what we still don't know. What Beamer said is, that is when I felt really good about him coming to South Carolina. So I think he got a pretty strong indication at that point.
I'm trying to think. I'm so bad at quotes off the top of my head. I'm trying to think of exactly what Harbor said, because he sort of said in the interview, where all of us were standing around Harbor, he sort of said, "Yeah, he's like, I talked to Coach Beamer before, but he didn't say exactly when he was referring to, and he never said." I don't think he never explicitly said, "Yeah, I committed to Coach Beamer," because he was even like, "I'm sure Coach has called me. I'm gonna have to call him back here in a minute." This is all after he's gone public. So, but all that, I would say this, man, all that does match up, I think, with a lot of what we were hearing, and then what we were, mostly you, but what we were putting on Gamecock Central.
Yeah, and that was the thing, like, even when South Carolina felt really good, like along the way in the process, and even Monday and Tuesday, signing day was obviously on Wednesday when he announced, Harbor had never said, "I'm definitely coming."
Mm-hmm.
Like, he had not silently committed. And so there was always that.
Yeah. Well, and even when we were told, like, hey, Carolina may have pulled this off, I mean, I don't know about you, dude. I was still iffy about what we were reporting on it. Not iffy, like we were hearing, but it was just, how do you really know at that point if, there was obviously a reason. You can even, if you ever watch my vlog entry, since you haven't, it was like 2 hours before. So I was like, I'm going to just lock in exactly what I'm thinking right now, and whether it's right or wrong, we'll put it in there. And I'm about to walk in, and I'm like, if you had told me on Tuesday night to make a prediction, I would have said South Carolina 80% or higher. And I said, if you would have asked me on Wednesday morning, I would have said Oregon 80% or higher.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if you would have asked me right now, I was like, I would tell you it's probably 50-50, that I maybe give a slight edge to Oregon. I was like, but South Carolina has been coming on strong.
2 hours
morning.
Before, you said?
That was like 2 hours before. Because I went back and I was like, what did I even say? Because I tried to give an exact thought of where it was at that moment. And then after everything happened, whirlwind day, I'm like, all right, did what I say make sense for what ended up happening? And then I went back, obviously, when I sent it to Kendall, because she put it all together. I was like, oh, that actually tracked pretty well with what Beamer was saying, because it was like, Carolina is making a huge. This was after we had at least heard that push and the communication was continuing, the push was continuing, and all those things were happening. So I think, Chris, we're out of time. We'll have plenty of more time in the future to talk about Harbor, but coming up in about 3 minutes, we'll have coverage on Gamecock Central of Maceo Bennett's announcement.
Yeah, so that announcement coming up in a few minutes. Keep your eye on GamecockCentral.com for all the latest on that. Again, Coach Beamer going to be joining Jay on the halftime show at about 12:20, so stay tuned for that as well. You've been listening to the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs on 107.5 The Game.